I'd like, first of all, to express my appreciation to Lorna Spencer, my appreciation and thanks for her invitation to me to speak today. This provided an incentive for me to prepare a talk that I've actually been planning for a long time. I just didn't know when would be the right time or where would be the right place. In a sense, this talk has been in preparation about 20 years. And this is the time, and this is the place. And this makes this a very special occasion for me. I also thank all of you for being here to share this experience. Those of you who come here regularly, those of you who are guests, my wife, 3 of our children, some of my longtime friends who are here this morning. I'm speaking about Revelation, and specifically about 2 written works that I regard as highly important. I'm convinced that these sources will play a significant role in the spiritual renaissance, which is now underway, but which is only in its infancy. This may be, and as far as I know is, the first public presentation, acknowledgement about both of these revelations. So in my mind, this is an event that may be worthy of at least a small footnote in the history of spiritual and religious development and awakening on earth. So once again, I thank you for your participation on this occasion. I speak to you with love and gratitude. From a religious or a spiritual point of view, we're living in a truly extraordinary age, a time of revelation. Revelation occurs in 2 quite distinct ways. The first of these is through personal experience, whereby the insights and understanding of receptive individuals are enriched and expanded. This type of revelation is ongoing and no doubt has always been a part of human experience. Our personal experiences of revelation may sometimes be more in the realm of feelings rather than in the mind. These are usually recognized as our most wonderful life experiences when we feel joy, happiness, peace, or love. These may be no more than brief glimpses, those special instances that you wish would last forever, when there is momentary clarity and understanding. The source of these revelations is your inner voice, your internal teacher, the Spirit within, the voice for God, your thought adjuster, that divine spark within your mind and heart. The second type of revelation occurs on a vastly broader scale and at specific times in evolution, sometimes referred to as epochs. An epoch is an important or noteworthy period in history. These revelations are the functions of celestial personalities or agencies and have the purpose of providing both information and inspiration for anyone who is receptive to them. The life and teachings of Jesus provide the best example of a revelation of epical significance. At this time, there's a massive outpouring of spiritual information being channeled through a host of individuals. It's difficult to stay abreast of it all, and then to sort it out, to discover what rings true, what contains meaning and has value. Perhaps the best test is your own personal truth filter. Those same feelings of clarity associated with personal revelation. This is the approach that I've taken in evaluating and studying the Urantia book and A Course in Miracles. It's the presence of these two works that makes this truly a time of revelation, an epoch as extraordinary as the period of Jesus' life on earth 2,000 years ago. I am assured that the Urantia book and A Course in Miracles are pure and authentic revelations. And my purpose here and now is to share some information and observations about each of these with you. My intent is not to try to convince you of anything. This is the role of that inner voice, the spirit within. I simply want to share my experience with you. To begin with, I've selected a few quotations about Revelation directly from these sources. The Urantia book refers to the two types of revelation when it states, revelation as an epical phenomenon is periodic. As a personal human experience, it is continuous. In reference to personal revelation, A Course in Miracles states that such a revelation is literally unspeakable because it is an experience of unspeakable love. And revelation is an experience of pure joy. In a more general vein, A Course in Miracles states, revelation unites you directly with God. A similar, interestingly similar passage in the Urantia book states, revelation successfully bridges the gulf between the material and the spiritual, between man and God. I acquired the Urantia book in 1970, and while reading it, gradually realized that it's precisely what it purports to be. A major revelation for our planet, which is referred to as Urantia. During the next several years, I studied the book, met other Urantia book readers, taught a college course on the Urantia book, and in 1974, I was invited to give a talk to the Los Angeles chapter of the World Future Society about the Urantia book. In that talk, I chose the following remarks to introduce the book. Suppose that by some technique, the very highest, most perceptive, and truthful human insights could be collected and then formulated into a consistent rendition for study and analysis. The source of each gem of wisdom would be relatively unimportant. Each would find its proper place in the whole by withstanding the tests of truth, beauty, and goodness on as many levels of reality as the current evolving consciousness of man has experienced for evaluation. Suppose further that some new information is made available for transition, for completion of partial concepts, and for extensions within the grasp of human understanding. Would the populace of this beleaguered little planet be able to adjust to the new levels of both understanding and responsibility? I regard both the supposition and the question as being of the utmost importance because incredibly what I am describing has occurred. I'm speaking about the Urantia book, an unprecedented, altogether astounding, and totally unique work that will one day be recognized as one of the most important documents ever to appear in the history of mankind on this planet. I shall hereafter refrain from further exclamatory adjectives or overextended praise. I cannot possibly do justice to the phenomenon that is the Urantia book. And furthermore, this treatise can stand on its own merits with no need of supporting rhetoric. My experience with A Course in Miracles has been equally powerful. In a preface, A Course in Miracles is described as a teaching device with a curriculum that is carefully conceived and is explained step by step at both the theoretical and practical levels. It emphasizes application rather than theory, and experience rather than theology. The preface goes on to state that while it is Christian in statement, the Course deals with universal spiritual themes. It emphasizes that it is but one version of the universal curriculum. There are many others, this one differing from them only in form. They all lead to God in the end. Neither the Urantia book nor A Course in Miracles can be satisfactorily summarized or briefly described. At this time, I simply wish to make a few observations about the origins, content, and authorship of each. The Urantia book was published in 1955, having been transmitted over a period of about 15 years, from sometime early in the century until 1935. The Urantia book consists of 196 papers. In fact, it was referred to as the Urantia Papers during the 20-year period from 1935 until its publication in 1955. At this time, it was kept in a vault in Chicago, and a limited number of people were allowed access to it to read. The Urantia book consists of 196 papers, is 2,097 pages long, and divided into 4 major parts. Part 1 is entitled The Central and Super Universes, and consists of 31 papers. Part 2 is entitled The Local Universe, and consists of 25 papers. Part 3, with 63 papers, is the history of Urantia. And Part 4, 77 papers, is the life and teachings of Jesus. While the Urantia book was channeled through a single human being, the authorship is attributed to a group of superhuman beings, celestial personalities united in a common mission to present this revelation in the English language to our world. According to the cosmology of the Urantia book, our planet is known as Urantia, which is one of about 10 million inhabited or inhabitable planets, comprising what is known as a local universe. Our local universe is the creation of Michael, a divine being, a son of God, belonging to an order or class known as Creator Sons. These sons, according to plan, as part of the scheme of their creation, are bestowed on one of the worlds of their creation at a certain stage in its evolution in order to experience life as a creature of their realm. Michael's chosen world was Urantia, and Michael lived and went through the experience of human death as Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus was literally Son of Man and Son of God. The Urantia book also informs us that approximately 100,000 local universes comprise a super universe, of which there are 7. This represents about 7 trillion inhabited worlds, inhabited planets, on which dwell an extraordinary variety of types of beings with the common characteristic of being of one family, the family of God, the universal Father. The Urantia book describes a vast array of cosmological data, while at the same time presenting a consistent, highly intelligent, and insightful philosophy of life and reality. One vital thread concerns not only the origin and nature of mortal planetary beings, but also their potential ascendant destiny. There is every assurance that each unique human personality has the capacity to survive physical death and to exist on successively higher levels of awareness, growing as an immortal soul formed by human and divine partnership to a fully realized spirit. Jesus' teachings of eternal life achieve new dimensions of literal truth by this expanded message. A Course in Miracles, available in a single soft cover volume since 1985, was originally published in 1976 as 3 hardbound volumes. These are the text, 622 pages, the workbook for students, 478 pages, and an 88-page manual for teachers. A preface in A Course in Miracles briefly explains in 3 short sections how it came, what it is, and what it says. The reader is immediately given some helpful information about the work itself. guiding spirit voice of A Course in Miracles is none other than Michael, our Creator Son. In many instances, he addresses the reader in first person, leaving no doubt as to his identity. In an early section of the text, he comments specifically about revelation as follows. Revelations are directly inspired by me because I am close to the Holy Spirit and alert to the revelation readiness of my brothers. I can thus bring down to them more than they can draw down to themselves. The Holy Spirit mediates higher to lower communication, keeping the direct channel from God to you open for revelation. As for the purpose of these revelations, the Urantia book states, revelation is a technique whereby ages upon ages of time are saved in the necessary work of sorting and sifting the errors of evolution from the truths of spirit acquirement. While A Course in Miracles states quite simply, revelation transcends time. The Urantia book also makes an interesting distinction between evolutionary religion and revealed religion, and states, it is a part of the plan of the universe that sooner or later evolutionary religion is destined to receive the spiritual expansion of revelation. The Urantia book also states, in science, God is the first cause. In religion, the universal and loving Father. In philosophy, the one being who exists by himself, not dependent on any other being for existence, but beneficently conferring reality of existence on all things and upon all other beings. But it requires revelation to show that the first cause of science and the self-existent unity of philosophy are the God of religion, full of mercy and goodness and pledged to effect the eternal survival of his children on earth. There are interesting, intriguing parallels between the Urantia book and A Course in Miracles. Each was channeled verbatim through a single individual who did not interfere or attempt to contribute his or her own ideas or views, which was most fortuitous. Neither book has any claim of human authorship. I find no contradictions or inconsistencies in either work. In fact, each is a virtually flawless presentation, as logical as it is beautiful. They are equally authoritative and uplifting. I find them to be mutually supportive and compatible. I've carefully read each of them twice, and essentially a third time, most parts, many portions, many, many more times, including going through the workbook of A Course in Miracles on a day-by-day basis over 3 different one-year periods. A wonderful experience I recommend to anyone. Once, if not 3. Each time I reread something in either work, I find new depth and gain new understanding. For me, they stand the test, meet all the criteria. And I'm confident that they'll stand the test of time as well. In fact, both may be ahead of their time, in the sense that there seems to be no widespread consciousness prepared to receive them or recognize them. The Urantia book, specifically, may well be intended for a future generation, but sent now so as to acquire a readership from which teachers and leaders will arise. A Course in Miracles may have a more immediate mission, although it too is esoteric and presents a system of thought that is in direct opposition to the ways and thinking of the world. However, both the Urantia book and A Course in Miracles are ultimately as persuasive as they are compelling to a serious and open-minded reader. What an incredible wealth of good fortune in our lifetime to have these two sources of truth. While A Course in Miracles speaks the counsel of Jesus, the Urantia book gives the facts surrounding the life on earth of this Son of God. The Urantia book offers detailed information about the cosmos and our role in it, while A Course in Miracles exhorts us to love and to forgive. Where the Urantia book enlightens us intellectually, A Course in Miracles uplifts us spiritually. Each has the capability, in the words of A Course in Miracles, to save thousands of years in our progress towards, in the words of the Urantia book, the days of light and life. Together, infused as they are with the Holy Spirit, the potentials are truly awe-inspiring. May we extend these by seeking and doing the will of God in our lives. Thank you.
More U.S. airmen have died in practice and in training than in all wars combined. We're killing ourselves by practicing for war. And this just doesn't sit with me. I'm going to use my full 3 minutes, by the way. And I also feel that I do support the troops, and I know that everyone here that is pro-peace, we are peace patriots. We support our U.S. troops. We know why they're there. They're not there out of choice to go kill people. And I want all of you citizens here today who feel that you're for the war or in support of the troops to think about it. If there's a draft and you have an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old son, and he gets a little card in the mail that says, John Doe, come on down, pick up a gun and kill for Uncle Sam, I think you're going to have to really question your values and your beliefs. And what is this war for? Is it a war for oil? Is it a war for corporate greed? You know, General Dynamics is up in the stock market. Good time to invest in the war machine, folks. I mean, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about economic war? Are we talking about oil war? Are we talking about war against Saddam Hussein, who up until 5-6 months ago was supported by the U.S.
Mr. Pastore.
U.S. government?
Excuse me, your time is up.
Okay, so I'd like to thank the City Council once again for passing the resolution. You did the right thing. You're coming from the heart, and right on. More power to you.
Hello, my name is Miguel Crawford, and I'm number 40. I don't think I've ever been this nervous since probably my first kiss, which wasn't too long ago. And I'd like to say that it's truly an honor for me to for once be a minority, to be white, to be male, to be middle class, to be strong, to be healthy, to be educated, and to be intelligent. And have to stand up for what I believe, when it may be against what my father believes, my uncle, my brother, my sister, my cousins. And it's truly the hardest decision I have to make. For a long time, I've been able to stay quiet and still feel these intense feelings of pain and sorrow of people dying because of oppression around the country, around the world. And now, it is me that is in this position, that may soon be having my head shaved, my beard shaved, with dog tags around my neck and a machine gun around my shoulder. I support my brothers and sisters in the Middle East, both my brothers and sisters from America and the brothers and sisters in Iraq and Israel. For when they die, I feel a piece of us all dies. I am registered for the Selective Service, and I'm 20 years old, and I will not go to war.
I'm number 41. My name is Jennifer Bolin. Not a single one of you have spoken tonight against sanctuary will be drafted to go to war in the Middle East. Not a single one of you who are wearing red, white, and blue in the back and are booing at all the people for sanctuary will be drafted to go to war in the Middle East. Neither you nor the government have the right to determine the fate of my friends and my family that could be called to go to war to kill fellow human beings. The roots of democracy are in individuals' rights. You've been saying tonight that you have not had democracy with the City Council's decision, that you were not consulted, that you were not given a choice. What about the choice whether or not to kill? Democracy and choice for all of us, please.
Hi, I'm Chuck Cooper. My number's number 42. I was born in Arcata. I live and work in Arcata, and I'm raising a family in Arcata. I'm not going to talk about war or peace because everybody's done so much about it and talked so much about it. What I do want to say is that I think democracy was bypassed Wednesday the 16th. We didn't have our voices heard, and obviously now I think you're all going to hear our voices.
Join the club. Have some respect.
Please. I'm sure you're in the Mickey Mouse Club. I belonged when I was young too. The kind of courage I want to talk about tonight are the kind of courage of the people of Arcata, the midstream, to come out, take time from their work, from their jobs, from their families, to be down here to address this resolution that made me sick to my stomach. Kirk Councilman, Bob Thomas, Dan Shields, Bob McMullen, the list goes on and on. And you folks that are against us are not going to beat us down this time. This is what I came here for. Thank you for rescinding this resolution.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, I'm number 46, and my name is Cray Van Kirk. I have stood at the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem, and I've watched the sunrise over Saudi Arabia and the Jordanian desert. I've spoken with soldiers in Lebanon, and I've sung for Arab and Jew in Israel, Palestine, and in Egypt. I speak Hebrew. I know the richness and the diversity, the ancient, vibrant aliveness of the Middle East, and I support the Arcata City Council in their declaration of Arcata as a sanctuary city. Let me say immediately that I don't like Saddam Hussein. His is a brutal and inhumane government. Neither do I like the Kuwaiti monarchy, which he overthrew. Theirs was another violent regime. Yet in responding so quickly with a war which will murder innocents and which no one will win, we become that which we would eliminate. In my opinion, it was neither compassion nor final necessity, but rather economic preference that led President Bush to declare war on the Iraqi people, and I am grateful to live in a country which guarantees my right to publicly disagree with its leaders. The heart of the American Constitution is the peaceful coexistence of differing views on crucial issues. Yet in time of war, it seems that our national policy does not allow but one opinion. I do not believe in this war, yet if I were drafted, I would have either to obey or be punished for my efforts to live as a compassionate and moral human being. I do not have the freedom to express my beliefs without penalty. I do not believe in this war, but some of my taxes go to build its weapons. I do not have the freedom to say what kind of world my fiscal contributions will build. I can write letters and I can make phone calls, but these expressions of opinion do not have the same concrete reality as those bars behind which I may one day find myself, or that check which I mail every year to the United States government. Let us say then that the declaration of Arcata as a sanctuary city is the concrete manifestation of our belief that this war is wrong. Let us say that this declaration marks our full participation in the democratic process. And let us say that we are proud and indeed grateful to live in a country where these actions are our inalienable rights. Let us say that there are causes for which we will die, but there are far fewer for which we are willing to kill. Thank you.
Stewart. I've lived in Arcata for 7 years. I reside here, and my number is 56. Unlike most of the majority of you, my family did not come to America by choice. Most of my family had no rights in America for almost 100 years after your families were taking them for granted. My family had been granted their legal rights. It took almost another 100 years of nonviolence for the people of this country to respect those rights. Or so we thought. Before this war started, I used to tell a joke that there were 3 jobs for a black man in this country. He could go to jail, he could be born of rich parents, or he could join the army. Now the majority of people over there are my brothers. They're either black or they're poor, and they're fighting there because most of them, it was the only way they could get a job or get an education, and that's a sick sign of the domestic policy in this country.
Let's come to order, please. Let's come to order, please.
Yeah, let me finish here. My uncle took the army route in Vietnam, and he's still not a whole person. Although no one would admit it, I knew it was because of the war, and I don't want anyone else to go through what he has to endure, especially people who choose to be conscientious objectors. 85% of the people who were at the Thanksgiving dinner at the mission were vets, and 50% of the people in the shelter on Christmas Eve and the day it snowed were vets. Flying American flags is not enough. I join all of you to meet me over a beer, and let's end the Vietnam War, and let's end this war too, and get our homeless people off the street, because they're vets too, and we can't just forget them. Has mentioned the fact of the innocent babies and victims that are dying in Iraq for the only reason that they were born in the wrong country, a country with a person who is a dictator and who's used violence against them, and that's one thing in the resolution I am very proud of. I'm particularly disgusted with the media laying down and taking the censorship. I really think it's terrible, and I'd be damned if I'd give up my rights just because my right to speak out, just because George Bush has decided to take us into war. My ancestors worked too hard for me to get my right to speak out, and I oppose this war, and I want everyone here to know it. I support the troops. I support the troops in what they're doing, and I'm going to make sure when they come home to a place to live and a
Excuse me, Ms. Stewart. Excuse me, your time is up, please.
Okay, but I don't support the president.
My name is Susie Van Kirk. I've lived here for 21 years, and I'm not ashamed to be a member of this community. I support the resolution passed by the council last Wednesday. However, I have no quarrel with those who believe the process of that action was inadequate. Certainly, public debate is what our system of government is all about. So I am here tonight to express my views and to listen to the views of others, regardless of how we may differ. That's the democratic way. Modern war has become some kind of abstract, high-tech game. We talk about sophisticated weapons and smart bombs, just another Sunday on the gridiron. But in reality, war is brutal, inhumane, barbaric. It does not resolve conflict, and this war will not resolve the long-standing and complex problems of the Middle East. Violence does not stop violence. Inhumanity does not stop inhumanity. Killing does not stop killing. Those who suffer in war are not the ones who hold the political and economic power and who make the decisions to commit their nations to war. There is certainly nothing sophisticated and smart about bodies in plastic bags or injured and demoralized POWs being paraded before the cameras of the world. Perspective in time of war is crucial to retaining our humanity. Iraqi babies are just as precious as American babies. Iraqi soldiers follow orders just as American soldiers do. They are sons, fathers, husbands, brothers who are loved by someone no different than Americans. Hearing crying children as their Tel Aviv mother tried to put gas masks on them, and reading a correspondent's account of crying Iraqi children in a bomb shelter after hours and hours of incessant bombardment are realities which I will not and must never forget. I believe this issue is the legitimate business of the community because we are members of the larger world community. For those of us who are fiscal conservatives, the cost of this multi-billion-dollar war is of grave concern because of the impacts it will have on government services, social programs, education, and on each of us as American citizens who will ultimately have to pay for it.
Susie, Ms. Van Kirk, your time is up, please.
I just say one more thing.
Yes.
I urge this council to draft a new resolution, and included in that resolution must be a statement that we are peacemakers, that we reject war as a way to resolve conflict, that we affirm the right of U.S. citizens to express peace and reject war in their personal lives by refusing to serve, and we recognize and appreciate the sacrifices made by those who choose to serve.
I'm Beverly Hanley. I've been a resident for 17 years here, and I'm proud to work in Arcata. I'm proud of this community. I'm going to share my number with my son, who's 15. I want to say, in the face of all the anger and sadness that people are feeling about the protest against this war, that people that are protesting the war are, for the most part, people who care very much. They're people who don't want any lives lost, who believe that the cost of war, that the cost of even one life is too much. They are people who believe deeply that aggression and war are far too dangerous in terms of what can be unleashed on the planet to take a chance. Some believe that all war is wrong, and some believe that this war is wrong. Some believe that all war is a kind of step toward the dark ages and a failure to develop as human beings. I don't know of anybody who is against the men and women who have been mobilized. Protesters are against the choice of war in a situation where peaceful negotiation was never really pursued. And unfortunately, it's in the streets that most people who are against the government policy get a chance to speak. And we have a different situation here because the Arcata City Council has created a situation where a lot of people can speak and say a lot of different things, who believe a lot of different things. So I think that the people who are protesting have felt powerless and that their voices have not been taken into account, and whose concern has turned into anger that such an action can be taken in the name of all American people. They feel the same way that many citizens of Arcata feel in reaction to their own city government making a resolution and taking a stand in their name that they cannot in good conscience support. That feeling of powerlessness, of not being heard, is the source of so much of our anger. It's a deep concern for life that burns in most protesters. It's a conviction that mankind has evolved to the point where the mind and heart are capable of finding solutions that do not depend on power over other human beings or on whose muscle is bigger and better. It is an insistence that we as a species explore and develop not our military capabilities, but our human ones. In Arcata, instead of becoming divided over one more issue, we could create a bridge of understanding. We could create a model for larger government bodies and world communities, a system that works for all people instead of for just those in the seats of power. We could begin to listen to each other. That would give me hope. And we're doing that tonight. Thank you, Arcata City Council.
I'm sorry, Ms. Hanley, your time is up. Your time is up. Go ahead.
Okay. What I have to say is short. My name is Gabe Hanley. I'm 15 years old. And I don't see that the City Council's resolution is doing anything to hurt anyone. All it is doing is giving people like me, who don't want to go to war in a few years, a choice. I want that choice. It's not hurting those of you who oppose the resolution. It's not gonna, you're not gonna, if you want to go to war, you can go to war. All it is doing is giving us a choice. Thank you.
My name's Joan, I'm number 60, and I'd just like to say that there's been a lot of negative things said to the City Council tonight, and I'm really sorry for that, and I really support what you did. I would hope that the people who asked you so strongly to resign, to rescind what you said, would look more deeply into their consciences and do some soul searching. They say that you do not represent them, but you do represent me, and when you made that decision, you made a statement to the world about what was in my heart and what was in my thoughts, and I would hope you would continue to do that instead of giving up just because some people who have more money than I do and who have more power in this community are going to affect your decisions. Thank you.
My name is Bob Hunt. I live in Arcata. I'm delighted to live in Arcata. I've lived here for 16 years. I had two numbers because my 9-year-old daughter was to be with me here, but during the early part of the evening she became disturbed because, in her words, people were fighting. But she had very carefully written out her statement, which is very brief, and I want to read that statement for you before I make my own. Prior to that, I would like to say I think we should listen to the children, listen to the youth. The most sensible statements I've heard tonight have been from young people. Here's Sierra, my 9-year-old daughter's statement. I just want to say that war is not healthy for people in the world, and many kids in my class have been drawing war pictures, including me. They're saying that they are ready for anything, but no one is ready to die. So the next time somebody asks you what you think about war, scream peace, because that's what everyone wants all around the world. I commend the Arcata City Council for providing this forum. Once again, as on so many issues, Arcata is ahead of its time. As the war goes on, this scene will be played out in cities and towns across the nation. I appeal to my fellow citizens of Arcata to give peace a chance in our town. By this I mean that we need to respect each other's views and refrain from judging them. None of us can know how this war will go. Some think it will only get worse and lead to such disaster that no one will admit they once supported it. Others think it is a necessary evil and that good will be accomplished and outweigh the bad. But no one knows for sure, and so no one can judge another with complete certainty. I have respect and love for everyone in this town, regardless of the way they think and feel. While we may differ, I wish to emphasize what we have in common. I believe that everyone wants peace with the minimum loss of life. I believe that everyone who fears the worst hopes they're wrong. I believe that everyone who expects the best realizes that they should be braced for the worst. I appeal to each person to recognize that we cannot expect peace on earth if we cannot manifest peace in our own community. Let our hearts be big enough to encompass opposing viewpoints. Let those who wish to offer sanctuary to anyone who cannot, in his conscience and heart, participate in this war, Also support sanctuary for returning soldiers who will need our love and assistance. Let those whose first allegiance is to brave young men on a foreign battleground also recognize the courage of young men who sincerely believe that violence is an unacceptable means of settling differences. Let us recognize that we can be united without all thinking the same way.
Excuse me, Mr. Hunt.
And in fact, that our strength lies in balancing our diversity and living together peacefully. Let us send such a message of hope and goodwill from Arcata to a world that is aching for such an example.
My name is Ashley Hunt, and I am a citizen of Arcata. My number is 64. Many of you in your minds may be asking yourselves what I have to say as an adolescent. In your country, I can't vote. I'm not 18, but that's just a law. We're all humans created by God. I am for the resolution to make Arcata a sanction. I truly don't understand drafting. Everyone is their own person. Why should a group of people such as George Bush and Dan Quayle rule us? Tell us we have to go to war and die. In this life, I want to do what I want, die when I naturally go, not in a war. And last, I want to say, I'm a woman. I wouldn't be drafted. But all that I have to say applies not just to me, but to all my brothers and my sisters, which include all of you and all the world. I now ask that you listen to the following poem that I wrote with an open heart. It is titled Unity. I wish unity was a part of the community. Unity is part of me. I wish it was part of our society. I don't understand it, this war that is. I don't think anyone really does. It's all just a question, we make it a problem. It doesn't have to be. Everything could be solved if we could just join in unity. All we have to do is unite. As a town, we need not fight. Please let go of your anger. How can there be any peace in the world if we can't even keep peace in our town?
Hello, my number is 65. My name is Rhea Hurt, and I'm 14 years old, and I'm a resident of Arcata. I'm not a hippie, and I'm not a redneck. I have no title. I am a person who believes in the United States. I'm a person who believes in supporting our country. I'm also a person who believes in peace. I believe that peace must be within ourselves, our families, and in our town. Then maybe we can work on our country and the rest of our world.
I ask for understanding and forgiveness. I offer love and compassion. I stand for peace.
Excuse me,
My name is Bonnie Jean Hunt, and I live on the heart of Arcata, right below her breast, Fickle Hill. I live with the rest of my family, and I'm trying to do God's will. My will is mighty and has a loud voice, constantly clamoring, demanding its choice. God's will is subtle, often unclear. His direction is constant. Sometimes I hear the heart of Arcata pounding away under me. I'm glad that I'm part of Arcata, like God's glad that He's part of me. I ask that we stand and unite as a community, that we help bring peace, H-E-L-P, healing equals loving people. Please stand and join me in peace and harmony. Let